Hey, everybody, welcome to this week's Star Report. This is Jason here in downtown Brenham, Texas, broadcasting from New Dimensions Crystals and Reiki. Today, let's get right into the solar weather. The solar weather is continuing to be intense or consistently high, not necessarily intense. There has been continued solar flaring without much coronal mass ejection. And if there has been, it hasn't been broadcasting or launched into Earth facing or Earth directed coronal mass ejection, so we don't have to worry about anything hitting us necessarily. But the uptick in solar flares is going to continue and has continued through the week. So that little bit of energy that it puts into the atmosphere and the cosmos and then your own energetic system is going to still cause a sense of unease. Maybe mistaken for, maybe mistaken for anxiety. And so go ahead and pay attention that that's going to continue probably into 2025 as the sun ramps up into solar maximum. The thing that is, I won't say concerning, but the thing to sort of pay attention to is the weakening Earth magnetic field, right? As the pole shift, the amount that it broadcasts outwards comes inwards and then lessens. And so more things come through with less. And so pay attention to that. You want to maybe pay attention to things where they talk about holes in the ozone and stuff like that. It'll affect all kinds of things, animals, growing seasons, stuff like that. Maybe sunburns happen quicker than they normally would. So pay attention that being out in the sun, while necessary, because it's the source of all energy on Earth, that you should pay attention to how long you're out in the sun. And then there are no coronal holes currently facing the Earth, so we're at least not getting that pressure, and so earthquake watch is a little bit lower than normal. And then getting into the star system or the stars, the astrology of it all, today is really influenced by Mars, right? And so Mars is a get stuff done, get shit done, stuff energy, and so Mars is really influencing today. And so it's also sort of in conjunction with Chiron, which Chiron is about our inner secrets or sometimes hidden wounds. And so really the energy of the day, which is sort of amassing as we move forward into this retrograde free world, about choosing your own path, being your own leader of your own life. And so that energy, that smoke's really right in the face today. That energy is really about stop hiding your true feelings and just be you, right? And start to construct a life around that, and then sort of be firm or understanding that once you really construct a you, there's going to be people that may or may not approve of that, but it's not about being approved. It's about being sovereign and solid and whole. And so go ahead and look into being like that instead. And what you should sort of pay attention to is what sort of keeps coming up, right? What is those little ideas about things that, well, I should have done this, or I should have done that, or I'd like to do this, or I'd like to do that. And then sort of pay attention to the synchronicities through that. And then while you're doing that, while you're starting to construct yourself, the energy of the planet, of the cosmos, of Mars, of Chiron, of like just being you, is really undergirded by finding your rhythm of breath. So breath, if it changes or shifts for any reason, really starts to shift your consciousness, your reality. And, whether that's from a cough or from a surgery, or from just starting to do breath work like we do here every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. at the shop, elemental rhythm breathwork, that rhythm will really start to shift you and shift you rather quickly, right? You'll start to notice that you feel different in the world, right? And so rather than assigning it to an external thing, the difference is really in the rhythm of your breath, meaning the rhythm of your breath is really deciding or determining your consciousness. And so when you start to work on that, then you can really use this Mars and this Chiron energy of who am I truly, what am I not afraid to show anymore of, whether that's points of view or injuries or things that have wounded you in the past. You can use them rather than something to be ashamed of and not be your whole self, to use something as a strength or a springboard into being more you and a more healthy you. That leads us into Thursday, which is tomorrow. So Thursday, many people who are going through the retrogrades were really or good at managing going through all the retrogrades. You know, we're in a retrograde free world. They're noticing recently that they thought they had handled everything and things have gotten a little wonky, or they've gotten a little bit of resistance in their life. And so that resistance sort of triggers you to think maybe something's wrong, right? And so when you start to be your true self and change your rhythm with your breath and be a different person, all of a sudden that causes you to think that the shifts are a resistance to that, or you've chosen the wrong you to be. But actually, resistance is really just part and parcel of movement. You are moving forward, you are creating something, right? So it's almost like if you're moving through water, if you're moving through the cosmos, you're going to make ripples, right? So that resistance is actually something to sort of make sense of, that you are moving, and then what that resistance is, right? So can you move can you move through that in a healthy way, and can you use that resistance to sort of hone yourself and see what you should do, right? And so Thursday is really a day to sort of inwardly focus on this resistance and sort of make sure that the engine of you, the engine of your consciousness, right? So your consciousness is driven by your mind, your filter to receive it, and how healthy and aligned your body is to maximize that energy to be maximum you, maximum understanding of consciousness. So it's really days a day to sort of check the engine room, right? Are you eating healthy? Are you drinking enough water? That kind of stuff is really something that the cosmos is calling you to do on Thursday, which brings us into Friday. Friday is really about the moon is beginning to become new, right? And is starting to get closer to the Earth. We're on Earth, right? And as it gets closer to Earth, it is the super new moon that is coming up on Sunday, Monday. So we'll start to see, not see because it's a new moon, right? Which is the dark part, but we'll start to see the influence on Sunday and especially into Monday of the super new moon. And so that's the closest to Earth, right? They call it super when the moon is in an ecliptic, right? So when it's closest to the Earth, when it's coming close to us, or when it's rotating around us, then they call that super. And so this is a super new moon. And so this is the third new moon that is super in a row, right? So whatever rhythm the moon is on is hitting the last 3 months, right? So you want to say, pay attention to what's been going on the last 3 months, right? So we're in February, so January, December, right? And now February. So what was happening on the new moon, right? What new things were you doing for yourself in January, in December, and then what are you doing now, right? So those things might be in conjunction with each other, or they might be a repetitive energy, and that's something to sort of pay attention to. And then also Monday is an 11 master day. So that energy of these new moons are really trying to tell you, if you haven't heard already, if you haven't listened to me sort of saying about sovereignty, right? This is the moon telling you that you're in control of your own life. And then the numerology of our calendar system is really reiterating that the energy now is to claim rulership over your own life and be who you're supposed to be. So that's really going to be intense over Sunday, Monday. Sunday is the day we do breathwork here at the shop, elemental rhythm breathwork. This Sunday, we're going to do something a little, not a little different, but same breathing, but we're going to use a flow class instead of a breakthrough class. So if you're trying to just get in the flow of your own natural rhythm, this Sunday would be a good time. We've already got a couple people signed up from last week. They were like, that was great. I got to come back next week. And so I want you to maybe think of that as an option. And so the flow is really a deeper, more introspective, rather than a breakthrough into the cosmos. It's more of a deep understanding of self, right? And so that's going to be same length of class, but different breathing rhythms while we're there. And then a different focus as we do the guided meditation when those sessions are over. So that's going to be Sunday. That will really be a good prep. If you can make it to, that's a lot of smoke coming through the screen all of a sudden. It's like I'm at a campfire and it's all of a sudden coming through. But that'll be a good prep for what's going to go on Monday. When you have the beginning of the week, Monday is Moon Day, right? So that whole energy of mastering what you want to do. Apparently, I shouldn't have drank sugary drinks this morning because causing a little stuff in the throat, but that's fine. And so this new moon, especially, is not different, but this new moon should be paid attention to because it's a new moon in Pisces, and Pisces is really all about spiritual awakening, spiritual expansion. And so the idea that you can spiritually expand yourself with this energy of this mastery day on Monday is really good. And so the sort of theme of the week is the sun is continuing to give you the energy that you need. The planets are aligning for you to see yourself as you really are and to have the courage and power to choose that. And then Monday is really with the super new moon in Pisces is really sort of saying, be who you spiritually are, not who you had learned to be, right? And then the sort of thing to pay attention to in all of this is with the Chiron and Mars and with this new sovereignty coming up, right? You're going to see not just these things happening personally, but you're going to see these things happening culturally, right? So secrets that have been hidden are going to begin to be revealed. Secrets have been hidden are going to shine light on things that have claimed power but don't really have it. So things that you may have governed as smarter or greater than you are going to be come into your awareness that they aren't what you thought they were, and they don't have as much control over your sovereignty as you've allowed them to have. And so that would be something to sort of pay attention to. And that could be something as minor as culturally, like your town does something weird, your job does something weird, but look at it to be a planetary thing, right? The realignment or the truth of coming out of powers and principalities, as they used to say in the scripture, right? They might not be what they say they are. And so pay attention to that, which sort of closes off the week, right? We get into Monday. Tuesday's kind of calm. We are leading into, so this energy, if you want to see where it's going into next week, and I'll talk about this next Wednesday more intently, we're moving into Wednesdays in Aries stellium, right? And so Aries, like you've heard me say before, Aries alchemically, metaphysically is about the higher mind, right? Where Jason and the Argonauts sought the golden fleece, right? So what is the spiritual net which overlays the mind, which allows you to have access to soul stuff, to hear God more clearly? That's coming on Wednesday, right? So we have this whole big reset of claiming your sovereignty, your spiritual self over this week based on the sun, the moon, the planets, the numerology, the calendar is all saying, if it's not now, when? And just for final reference, there is a tool that you can use if you want to sign up. There's limited spots. I have a small shop, but there's limited spots if you want to sign up for the breath work, right? What did I say? Breath work bases the rhythm of who you are, right? And so when you change that, your consciousness change. So maybe breathing in an intentional way in a group, right? So it's kind of like having more people in the boat rather than swimming upstream in a canoe or paddling upstream in a canoe with yourself. Maybe you can have other people rowing through the stream, right? And the experience can be even greater. I know some of you do breath work on your own, but group breath work is pretty cool. So I think that's everything for the week. It is something that is very easy for you to manage, right? And it's also very easy for you to sort of hit the negative side of that, right? Where you're scared of your own power, where you're overly concerned about what people might think about what you really believe, right? And then this new moon, this super new moon, this Pisces, right? To really look at the bad side, you might even think that you're not spiritual enough to claim your own sovereignty, that somewhere there's a worth issue in your mind, that spirituality is for leaders or others or people that have worked harder at it, right? But this idea of who's good at this, the energy of the cosmos is such as that it doesn't necessarily have to be that you've put decades in, like myself, to get to the same spiritual level, right? Because the speed, the energy, the flow, the direction, the ease of which you can move forward is really a lot easier than it was 20 years ago. And so it's not too late to start, is what I'm trying to tell you. So if you haven't done any of this stuff, maybe you start to do a couple of YouTube videos and pay a little bit more attention, or, just come to the shop and ask some questions, or come to breathwork. That is the week starting February 15th, and that is the Star Report.